Ow. Okay, dokie. So this one is going to be a little bit long. I'm going to try to make it shorter. This is when I was 17. I think I was about 17 when Hurricane Andrew hit in Florida. And then where I lived with my parents, it was a flood zone, evacuation zone. And they were like, nah, we ain't going nowhere. We lived in an apartment building. And they were like, nah, we're not leaving. So we had a friend of the family that had offered for us to go and stay with her. So it was her and her two boys that I used to take care of. I used to babysit them. And they slept with her. And then I slept in one of the boys' beds that night when Hurricane Andrew was going to, you know, do what he did, which was really bad regardless. But, um, so everything started happening. Oh, was it muffled? Why is this so slow? So everything started happening. I started hearing things hitting the roof, the wind blowing, etc. Must have been early AM in the morning. I don't remember quite well, but I then got up because it was getting scary. It was getting real scary. And so I got up and then I started walking to her room. So there's what they did with their house. There was a house in the middle, right? But they built around the house. So the house in the middle got gutted out. They made a fountain inside the house. Tacky. And then they made rooms on one side of the land and then rooms on the other side with the kitchen, etc. But all the rooms were on one side and there was a long hallway. It comes into play. Hold on. And so at that end of the hallway was the master bedroom where she was with the kids in the bed. They were sleeping, whatever. It's like if nothing happened. I was like, what the fuck? You know, I had just gotten here from my country at 10 years old. But I was like, why? What is this, number one? But regardless, I stand like at the end of her room with my back towards the wall where the rooms are, like towards the wall where the rooms were. And I'm looking into the hallway back into the room because they weren't awake and they weren't waking up. And I was like, what the fuck? And then I look and I'm going like this. And then when I look over here again into the hallway, I saw an apparition. And it was an apparition of a man with, I think he had a hat on, but it was kind of grayish white. But he was legitimately floating towards me. He was floating, walking towards me. And I was like, fuck that shit. And it freaked me out, of course. Initially, it freaks you the fuck out. And I was 17. So then I went into her room and I stood right the fuck next to her. And then she eventually woke up and was like, oh, are you okay? Whatever, this and that. I was like, no. And so I think I spent the rest of the night. I went back to the room. I blank out, I guess. I don't remember. But the next day, I was like, listen, Fulanita, I saw something. And she said, okay, what did you see? She believed in it. And she asked me, what did you see? And I described it to her. And she said, oh, yeah, that was the older gentleman that passed away in the house, the middle house. And I was like, what?